Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Now today we're gonna take a look at how I managed to beat an international master in a recent tournament. Now I was white here, I started with the English opening, he played the symmetrical with c5, and after knight f3 he just repeated some moves like usual in the symmetrical, and after g3 trying to fianchetto my bishop, he plays g6. Now bishop g2, bishop g7 and d4, striking in the center. Now, he has the option of taking the pawn, of course, and then I can recapture this pawn, but he decided to castle here. And now, well, I can advance with d5, or I can just castle like I did in the game. And now, after he plays d6, I decided to play d5. Now, the best square for this knight is, of course, knight to a5. Now, this has all been played here, and to be honest, during the game, I wasn't really prepared for this. So I wasn't really sure how to play. I knew that knight to d2 here is a nice move, just defending the pawn. And I thought this position is kind of similar to the Benoni opening, which we're going to take a look at in another video, where I basically want to play e4 and try to prepare the move e5, just breaking the center. And his counterplay is with the moves a6 and b5 on this side of the board, because his pawn chain looks that way, that way here. But yeah, it's not exactly like that. After he played e6, trying to, provoke my pawns in the center, try to, gain some power in the center back, I played e4. Now this wasn't the best move. I think the move to play was something like rook to b1 here. But yeah, during the game I just thought e4 is a nice move here, and I just played it. And after he takes, I of course took it with the c-pawn. Because I want to play something like f4 and e5 to have two passed pawns here if he takes. But as we're going to see, this is not going to happen in the game. That's why the plan with rook to b1 is better. Now, after a6, he basically wants to expand here on the queen side where he has play. I played a4, a typical move trying to prevent the b5 move. And now after rook to b8, I was getting a little bit worried about my position, because it's really not obvious how you can stop the advancing with b5. We haven't come far with our counterplay here, with something like f4 and e5, or just e5. He's going to be a lot faster. So here, I thought for a second, or not for a second, for quite a couple of minutes, but I decided to play rook to b1. My plan was that if he wants to play b5 here, I wanted to take the pawn and then strike at this knight and this pawn here with b4. And the point is that he can't play c4, which would be nice for him because his knight is hanging, of course, so he has to react. And he can't move the knight also, because after I take this pawn here on b5 is also going to fall. So the only option for him is to basically take this pawn. I don't want to recapture this with the rook, I just want to capture this with a knight, because knight is a very nice blockading square for the passed pawns. And of course my knight is also looking at this c6 square. This would be a really nice knight. So here he didn't play b5 immediately, he played knight to d7 here. And I thought, okay, he's opening up his bishop, he will maybe go to this e5 square or something. Or also something like c4 and knight to c5. These plans are all possible, but here I just played queen to c2. The point of this move is that we can still play b4 without losing our knight here. We protect the knight with the queen. So here after b5, you will see the idea. We can take and now play b4. If the queen was on d1, then of course our knight would hang. So here, like we said, he has to take the pawn, and I played knight to a2. Now he played b3, giving the pawn away like this, and his idea was that he will jump to c5 with his knight with a tempo, but it's not a problem. I just move back to b1, and now okay, f5. He wants to break my pawn structure here, and of course I can't take this pawn now, because he will just take it with the bishop, and this is quite a nasty thing. And it seems pretty bad for white actually, because he's also threatening to, I don't know, just take here, and he will open the f file. He has a nice knight here on c5, he has an active position, so I have to do something. And I just played knight to b4. And I thought that this is not so bad now if he tries to, defend this square. I was thinking of something like bishop to f4 here. This would be a possible move to play, just attacking this pawn on d6. I get some counterplay here. Or also just going to c6 with the knight, so he has to take, and now our pieces are going to get active after something like this. If he takes everything, now our queen is pretty active. He has some weak pawns here. This is a nice passed pawn, and our pieces are, I don't know, attacking this pawn. This rook will maybe join the game here, so this is pretty nice for us. But yeah, he after knight to b4, he just took on e4, which was at first unexpected to me, but I got some ideas here. Of course, the idea is that knight to c6 is not a deadly fork, because he can just play queen to c7, like in the game. And now I can't take the rook because my queen hangs. So now I still thought I have some threats, so I just decided to play rook to e1. Now this is a very tricky move, because I'm setting a little trap here. If he plays, I don't know, something random, I just wanted to play f3 here. And the point now is that if he moves the knight which is attacked, let's say to f6, I have knight to e7 check. And now I have this discovery attack on the queen with a check, and we are just going to win the queen. If the king moves, we just take the queen. So yeah, here he would have to go to c5, of course, to prevent this, to block the file. But then we can activate our rook on e7, and we have a lot of counterplay here. On the 7th rank, he has to play bishop to d7 here. And now we just want to exchange this dark squared bishop, and there are going to be a lot of weak dark squares around the king. So this was my little trick here. Now he played rook to b7, just simply defending against this f3 threat, because if I do something like this now, then of course it doesn't work, because the queen here is protected. So yeah, I still played f3, and he played queen to b6 check. Now another pretty interesting move was just knight to c3. Now here I thought this is really good for me, because my idea was to play rook to e7, and after he blocks, I just wanted to take this bishop, of course, so then I can take this knight which is no longer protected, and I just got two important pieces for our rook here, and I'm just winning in this position. I mean, he can, I don't know, go back, let's say, but then after bishop to b2, his dark squares are way too weak, and he's probably just going to get mated here or something, or just lose a lot of material. But after rook to e7, he has this interesting idea of just sacrificing the queen. He can just take this rook here, and after I recapture with a check, he takes here, and now he basically has a rook and a knight for the queen. But he also has this extra pawn here. His pieces are really active, and I just gave him a great chance for an advantage here, actually, in this position. So f3 wasn't the best move. So after queen to b6, he also didn't see it. I have to play bishop to e3, and now knight to c5. Of course, because the queen is attacked and also the knight is attacked. He has to block this attack on the queen, and now rook e to c1. Now the idea is simple. We have a pin here, and our idea is going to be in the future to just capture this knight, and after he recaptures, I can just take this pawn with the queen. So this is my idea here, but after rook to e8, he actually prevents me from doing that, because if I take this, if I'm not careful, he can recapture. Now he has two passed pawns, and the idea of queen to c5 just fails here, because he can give us a check here. We can't take the rook, of course, because we just drop our queen here. It's no longer protected. And if we move with our king, or play bishop to f1, I don't know, he can just take the queen now, because if we take the queen back, this rook is hanging, and he's just our rook up now, and we're just completely losing. So that's why rook to e8 is a nice move, preventing me from taking the knight on c5, and I had to retreat with the bishop. Now after f4, he's threatening, of course, bishop to f5, this nice attack on the queen and the rook. I have to play g4, preventing him from doing that, and after bishop to d7, simply trying to take this strong knight and also getting this pawn. I have to play bishop to f1. And I have a little trick here, and he just missed it. After he takes, I recapture, and he takes. Please pause the video, guys, and think about this position. What would you do with white? Alright, so the correct blow here is bishop takes b5. Now, it's a really nice move, because first of all, if he takes this one, we have queen to c4, giving him a check and also attacking the rook for the second time, and it's only defended once, and we're going to win that rook. Also, if he moves with the queen, we can just take the free rook. Now, the drawing move would also be queen to f3. I saw that. It's very interesting because he just gives up the rook, but as you can see, our king here is not that safe. We don't have a light squared bishop here to defend him, so that's why after we go to h1, he will give us a check. After we go here, he will give us a check. Here he will give us a check, and we have to go back basically. If we go here to the open, he will have some rook d7 ideas, and our king is going to be too exposed. We're just losing here. So we have to accept the draw with king to h1, king to g1, and also king to f1, king to g1. But yeah, he didn't choose this line, but he just took on b5. After queen to c4, now he played king to f8. Now my initial idea was to just take the rook, but then I saw that he can take this pawn on f3 and, you know, get some counterplay, and it's probably going to be a draw because of my weak king here, and also his extra pawns. But then I saw this incredible move, just taking the pawn here on f4 with the check, just leaving this rook here. We just gave a bishop here basically, because what can he do? If he moves back, we can give him a check again here, and we just won a pawn. So this is not an option here for him. He basically has to play king to e7. But now after bishop to h4, I thought, okay, he will now try to run here, but he played king to e6, just going closer, which just wasn't logical to me. I checked him after he blocked the check. Now queen to c4 again. Now something like d5 is of course not a move. We can just take on b5, take the rook, or even rook to e5 also works. But okay, this is not the point here. The point is that his only move with the king here is basically to go here to d7, and this was my idea, that I can take on b5 with a pinned queen here to the king, so he can't take my pawn on f3. So this was a really nice plan, and now he played rook to f8. I just exchanged queens and defended my pawn. Now if we stop here for a second, we can see that I'm an exchange up here in this position, and we both have the same number of pawns. But it's still not that easy. And also taking into account that I didn't have a lot of time here, he had a little more time than I had. But okay, still, he played rook to f7, I played bishop to g3, and he decided to move the bishop to f6. Now king to g2, just defending the pawn on f3, getting closer also to all the action. Now d5, rook to c1, pinning the knight, also threatening to, you know, double up on this knight or just attack it once more with our bishop or something like that, you know. So now e5. Now bishop to f2. He can't advance his pawn, of course, because his knight is just hanging now. He played bishop to e5, and now rook to c2. I just wanted to double up here on the c file to cause him even more problems. And after king to d5, getting away from this trouble, I just played rook to b5. And he basically has to defend it with the rook here on c7. And he's completely stuck here. If he wants to move his pawn on the next move, let's say, again, his knight is hanging. If he wants to move his king anywhere, again, his knight is hanging. He can't move the rook away because his knight is hanging. And yeah, he basically has no good moves. But it's also not that easy for me to improve here. I played h3, and after g5, okay, I decided to play h4. After h6, I played h5, keeping these pawns on the board because in the future I wanted to attack them. Now we played a couple of, you know, sort of waiting moves here. I was sort of gaining time on the clock here, just checking him a bit, you know, trying to do something. And now rook to c1, attacking the knight again. He had to defend the knight, and bishop to g3. Now, of course, he can't take with the bishop because we can take the knight with a check first. and then we recapture the bishop, and we're just a rook up. So after bishop to g3, he played bishop t7. I attacked the bishop. I was really low on time here. My threat is also to play something like this, as you're going to see now. Rook to b7, rook to e5, and I just decided to take on e7 now. I saw that I have bishop to d6, attacking the rook, attacking the knight. The rook can't go anywhere, you know, to protect the knight because the bishop is defending all the squares. And if he checks us, you know, we can just play king to f1, and we're attacking the rook, still attacking the knight, and he's going to lose this knight. So because the rook is attacked, he has to move it. Now we just took the knight, and now what do? I played f4. Just, you know, trying to use our extra pawn here on the king side, and he played king to e4, attacking the pawn. But I can just take here on g5 now, of course, the pawn, and now d3. Now here we are going to see some interesting lines, but after a couple of moves, of course, rook to c1, king to f3, going closer to our king. I just took another pawn. I thought that, okay, this has to be winning, you know. Rook to f2 check, king to g1. Here is an interesting moment. Like I said, I had like no time, so I played like bishop to e7, trying to prevent him from going to h4. But this is not the correct move. The correct move to win is rook to f1 check. And after he goes to e2, we just play h7. We of course just ignore him taking the rook, because if he does, we can just promote a queen. He doesn't have a checkmate, because we have bishop to h2, of course. So that's why here, after this, he would have to give us a check, and after we go here, also defending the rook, he takes on h5. Also attacking this pawn here, but now what do? We can give him a check and just protect this pawn. And these variations are simply amazing. I didn't see them during the game, of course, I was low on time. The point is that, okay, if he does anything, we can just sacrifice this bishop for the pawn. It's not a problem, because we're just going to come up with the king now, and this is of course winning with a pawn on the 7th rank, and this king being really cut it off here. Also something like this is completely winning, just cutting off the king even more. So yeah, this was completely winning, rook to f1 check, but I played bishop to e7. Now he played rook to g3, trying to give us a check on h3, and I moved up. I just wanted to get some time on the clock here, so I repeated, and now I played rook to f1 check. After king to e2, this is still winning for white actually. Now guys, if you want to solve this position, please pause the video and think about it. Now the winning move here for white is just rook to a1. The point is that if he gives us a check here, we just go to g2, attacking the rook, and if he takes this pawn, there's a really interesting thing here. Bishop to b4. We're just giving him the pawn. If he takes it, we just checkmate him. Now, isn't this a fascinating checkmate? I mean, the king here is just stuck. It can't do anything, because our king is here supporting this checkmate, and also the bishop and the rook, and it's just a beautiful checkmate. So here he would have to, I don't know, just give us a check, but it doesn't really matter. We can go to h3, and again, if he wants to take the pawn, we can go to g3, and still we have a checkmate here. So this doesn't really work. So after king to g3, if he checks us, well, now we can just go to h4, and we're going to protect this pawn, sacrifice this bishop for this pawn maybe, if we have to, and just to win the game. So this is a really fascinating line here, but sadly after king to e2, I just didn't see it, and I played king to h2, attacking his rook, and yeah, now he just took the rook, I also took his rook, and after d2, h7, he queens, I queen, and yeah, the point is that this looks winning because we're a bishop up, but he has this queen to e1 check. He just checks us and attacks the bishop, so he's going to win this bishop back. I tried king to f3, so that of course if he takes the bishop, we can just give him a check here. It looks like checkmate, but he can defend, but of course we can just win with our extra pawn here. So that's why, of course, he just gave us a check on e2 first. And now it's a crucial moment, actually. We have to go to f4. Because If he takes the bishop, we will have some checks with our queen here, and it's going to be impossible for him to avoid the exchange of queens. I think the correct move is, well, first queen to a1, of course, check. And already if he goes, let's say to e2, we can exchange queens like this, and then win with the h-pawn. This is a really interesting endgame, by the way. If he goes to f2, let's say, we also win immediately with queen to d4 check, and wherever he goes, if he goes to g2, we again exchange the queens here. If he goes to, I don't know, f1, we can give him a check here, I think, and wherever he goes, again, we exchange the queens. And it's a really beautiful queen and pawn endgame. But of course, I was slow on time. I didn't play king to f4, I just played king to g3, which I think draws the game. Yeah, what can I do? He just took the bishop on e7, and yeah, I played queen to a1 check. After he moved the king, I played queen to d4, centralizing our queen. And now the problem in this endgames is, of course, that you want to promote your pawn, of course. But black is not going to make your job any easier, because he's going to have a lot of checks and probably a perpetual check at the end. So it's going to be really annoying. The only chance for you to play for a win is to block a check in a way that exchanges the queens, of course. If he, I don't know, checks you here, I mean, he can't check you here because your queen is here, but let me just show you. You could play like queen to g4, blocking the check with a check and exchanging the queens. But okay, he played queen to a3 check, and I moved up. And here I was thinking, okay, this is probably a draw. He can, I don't know, check me here or something. But he didn't do this. He played queen to f8. And for the first couple of seconds, I thought, okay, not a bad move. Maybe we will still draw, you know. But then I saw it. I saw that queen to f8 is a big blunder, and I can just play queen to e4 check. And now wherever he goes, he has just 4 squares. We can quickly just get rid of these squares because we can just exchange the queens. He has to go somewhere here, but we can just, on the both squares, we can exchange the queens like this. And it's just beautifully winning endgame. If he takes, of course, we're just going to win with this pawn. We're going to promote and win the game. I was incredibly happy after this game. I was also wearing my chess shirt, so it was really spectacular. And yeah, guys, if you found this video instructive, please subscribe to my channel, watch more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video.